the executive orders that have been issued by Trump. We cannot cover all of them, of course. Some are not really impactful to a trader because they are more or less domestic issues. What are your maybe 3 favorites from all of them? Hi guys, welcome again to yet another episode of Bullish Banter. I hope you enjoyed the last one as we build up 2025. I'm your host, Jesse, and I'll be joined by Rufas as usual, at least for this second episode of the year. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah? Everything is okay, at least since last week?
Yeah, it's a pretty good start to the year.
Yeah. You know, being a hater, and your guy has been sworn in now. How are you guys feeling?
I think it's a really good start. The Trump bet is still on. Chelsea is back to winning ways.
Yes.
And of course, BTC is up, 9% since the year started?
Okay.
I would say this is a good start.
Very nice. Yeah. We'll be sharing, of course, for those who have not yet joined the Bullish Banter FPL League, maybe you can come and offset those who are ahead. Tune in. We shall be definitely reading out who are leading. But for today, of course, he was very smart in evading the Trump confidence. So I'm keeping track and will be reminding you of every fault he makes. Today we are covering 3 major topics and some are related and in some way. Of course, the new conversation about $500 billion AI infrastructure known as Stargate. We'll be talking a little bit about crypto and the recent developments that have been made and conversations. And of course, goes without saying, almost 70 plus executive orders issued since 20th of January. So those should be make up for quite a conversation for today. I'll begin, of course, with Stargate, which I think for those who are on X and have been following not Trump, but rather Elon Musk and his Doge, entity, he has also been, talking, I would say, down against Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. Maybe briefly, what is Stargate, at least before we go on?
Stargate is the biggest, I would say the biggest private development we have ever seen in the world because it's valued at $500 billion.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen anything non-governmental that is that huge.
Okay.
Though they're just using the number $500 billion, Elon Musk is basically saying you don't have the money. You don't have the capacity. Basically, Stargate is a project to lay down AI infrastructure within the US. So what Sam Altman is looking to do is to build data centers. Data centers is basically computers that have like huge processing power. They will come equipped with their, of course, energy sources. So most likely it will be nuclear energy supporting the data infrastructure, and then put different centers across the US to support companies that are involved in AI. Okay. So if any other company is running an AI project, they don't have to host it on their own computers or data centers. They can literally lease these data centers and build their projects on Stargate.
If I'm not wrong, also Trump basically and his government have endorsed it and are willing to offer any necessary support, be it infrastructure-wise, be it human and capital resource, as well as, of course, regulatory and, I would say, risk and auditing, yeah?
Well, for Trump just endorsing it doesn't mean he's supporting it. I don't think there will be like money from the US government allocated to the project, mainly because as part of his campaign promises, he basically told the American citizens he's going to create a DOGE department.
Okay.
That's the Department of Government Efficiency. So they're not looking to be expanding government spending. Instead, they're looking to be cutting government spending.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have talked about AI for the last, I think, almost 2 years, once in a while, and how it has impacted, of course, some of the stock performance. And I think that this week, perhaps by the time this episode airs out, it will be over. Yeah. But for those who follow us on X, we try to highlight what is happening in Davos with the World Economic Forum. We have seen, Satya Nadella, CEO, Microsoft, say is good with the money. Yeah. And obviously, some companies, NVIDIA are saying that, and even if you look at their earnings report, I think should be coming next week, should show us if from their balance sheet, how much debt they're in, cash flow, and obviously if they can actually commit to this total figure of $500. Would I be right to assume, or rather to project, that not only do these AGI make commercialization of AI a reality, because we have been talking about that. But also for me as an investor, if I am able to pick my few companies and look at them, let's say my golden eggs, and look at them carefully for the rest of the year, they should benefit immensely in terms of their stock price market due to this, I would say, project that is starting.
If you look at the performance of stocks last year, you notice that some of the stocks that have been heavily invested in AI had some of the best results. Case in point, we had NVIDIA doing 3x.
Okay.
Of course, NVIDIA is the guys selling the shovels. If you want to be competitive in AI, you have to get the best AI chips, and there's nowhere else you can get them apart from NVIDIA. Then you look at companies that are in real application of AI, companies getting real revenue from AI, such as Palantir. Palantir, I think it was up 4x.
Yeah.
Like your investment would literally have gone 4 times higher if you just parked your money there last year. So there is a lot of companies that are really applying AI to improve on their products. I had a good example of a company that has been doing drone technology, some of the best drones in the world.
Okay.
And they had contracts with the US Department of Defense.
Okay.
So they added AI to their drones to make them even more efficient, and they got an extra $1 billion worth of contract. So you'll find that more and more companies are adding AI to their products and making them more competitive. So with the current Stargate project, if at all it is successful, it basically means that they will have created enough capacity for more and more companies to add AI to their products and basically improve on their service delivery, their product performance, and so on. Okay. We already saw it happening with Apple Intelligence. I don't know whether that has yielded anything.
You are talking to Samsung fan. Galaxy AI is way ahead, and Gemini, but gone.
Well, since Warren Buffett sold his Apple shares last year, they have only been going down. So far down, I think 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
So yes, not all companies are getting the rewards from AI. Yeah. But then if you really carefully select the companies that are improving their products significantly through AI, then that would have some good collection of your golden eggs.
Yeah, it's always banter when I talk about iPhone and everything, but they are still a very solid company. If you look at even Apple TV, they are making good. I think from a service point of view and revenue-wise, as a company itself, I think they do bring in revenue. Yeah. Of course, from a cheap banter, to put it like that.
Well,
innovation-wise, they obviously and receptions of the latest gadgets have not been like, I would say, 3 or 5 years ago.
To be honest with you, I think they haven't invented or innovated anything in the last 6, 7 years.
And not really, maybe 3 years. 3 years.
No, they haven't done anything new.
iPhone 13
Tell me one thing they have done different. One thing they came up with in the last 6, 7 years. Nothing.
Well, I think AirTags have sold out well in terms of security of your goods. Yeah. Of course, MagSafe for
you have to think about it.
I have to think. There is the VR.
The VR flopped 100%. Also, if you look at their biggest market, which is China, they have dropped in ranking. Now they are number 3. Yeah. So if Vivo is selling more smartphones in China, Xiaomi is doing really well. Oppo is like closely following Apple. I don't see them like making the big moves they were making 10, 20 years ago.
Definitely. Yeah. But to be fair, China, the government banned use of iPhones within the government offices. So obviously, the way Chinese government is quite huge. Yeah. And obviously, if you're a government person in your family, don't use iPhone.
Yeah. Well,
under this leadership,
it's a huge population. We're talking about 1.4 billion people.
Yeah.
So if you remove the government, you still have over 1 billion people.
Okay.
That's still a very huge market.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you do apple to bananas comparison, Tesla is still leading in China. Okay. Though they were recently overtaken by BYD, but they have a dominant control of the EV market in China.
That's very true. Yeah. Interesting. Still sticking with the tech and whatnot. Yeah. Just a day before 20th of January,
Yeah.
the inauguration date,
Yeah.
two things happened after the other.
Yeah.
TrumpCoin launched.
Yeah.
I think a day later, Melania meme coin dropped.
Yeah.
And I had a reminiscence.
Yeah.
You remember those times of NFTs?
Yeah.
And, I think those times I used to go to a lot of these conferences.
Yeah.
People are making NFTs and whatnot on the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah.
Are we likely to see now, given all these years since that time, because they were actually, the token and contract was quite, I would say, an innovation ahead of time then.
Yeah.
And right now, if you look at all the research around Trump meme coin, it is supported broadly by at least deep pockets, and they are actually very much keen to make sure that it progresses. Are we likely to see maybe this one, yes, being a meme coin, but in a sense, transitioning from being a speculative asset to something of value in the future?
No, I don't see that happening.
Okay, let me put it this way.
The thing is, there's this platform called pump.fun on Solana.
Yeah.
Anyone, like literally anyone in the world, even Kim Jong-un can print his own currency.
Okay.
And literally just within a few clicks, they create a cryptocurrency coin.
Okay.
They designate how many coins are we going to mint, how many coins are we going to offer to the market and stuff.
Okay.
So there was so much anticipation about Trump, and everyone was following, like, I would say he's the most impactful leader in the entire planet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if this guy approves a coin, it's worth something, right?
Okay.
So that's why we had this madness of...
Basically fiat.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we had this madness of within 24 hours, a coin that was just created out of thin air. And of course, there were other coins that were created, but they didn't make sense. They didn't make money.
Okay.
But this one instantly goes up, what, 10, $20 billion? That was crazy.
Okay.
I think it was the biggest pump and dump in the crypto history.
Which one?
The Trump coin.
Melania is the pump and dump.
Well,
But Trump is around, I think right now it's trading at 32, 33, I think, from as of today.
Yeah.
But for those who are interested, you can always check it on MT5 FX Pesa.
Yeah.
It's trading at around 32. It has been dropping. I think yesterday, today, it has really dropped by around 4%, 5%.
Well, think about it this way. Yesterday they launched what? Baron cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It's still a meme coin.
Okay.
Based on the name of Trump's son.
Okay.
It pumped what, like 10x.
Okay.
Today, after this guy was raised, the Silk Road guy, Rose Albright.
Yes.
They launched a new coin called Silk Road.
Yes.
It's up 23x.
Yes.
Like, these things don't last because they're not based on anything.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are not looking to do anything. So that's why they're majorly fun.
Okay.
Yeah, but for crypto enthusiasts, it's opportunities for them, but also risks.
Yeah, that's why I'm sort of comparing the two times, because at the time you'd notice NFT were community based, and therefore if we believe that this person, for example, or even your music or your art is valued this much, then you as an artist, maybe you can lock in your funds. For those who are into crypto, I think they can explain better. I don't claim to be a pro on this, but it is willing buyer, willing seller.
Well,
the problem with
that was that if it's NFTs, somebody can right click and save, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Like somebody could be owning a very rare I would say Bored Ape. You remember them back in the day? And you can literally right click, save, and print it, put it in your house, put it in your store. Yeah. And they would absolutely have no rights over your printout.
Okay. Yeah. As we wrap up on this, and there is, I think you remember Polymarkets, which is I read somewhere that it is built on the Ethereum ecosystem. Yeah. Yes. And it was basically a speculative sort of platform built within the crypto space. Yeah. Now, if you remember back then, NFTs were, I'd say, good. Yeah. You'd get your own, share with the community. Yeah. You get your value as an artist based on, I would say, willing buyer, willing seller, right? Yeah. And then it basically died. Yeah. But Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and a few coins, USDT, and the rest, they were able to still maintain some significance of, characteristics of money. Yeah. And then right now, again, we are into the Trump era. Yeah. And you are like, so if as we transition to executive orders,
Yeah.
if you are doing this on day one
Yeah.
and you have this meme coin, you think that not only will it be a bridge, because there are some theories that it will be a bridge between Doge and how funds are being transferred between department.
Yeah.
People then will gain faith in that.
Yeah.
SEC yesterday, that would be 22nd, have started to create a cryptocurrency sort of regulatory framework. And this time around, given that Gensler is going, they are very much determined to make sure that all the participants are able to offer their input. Now, if you look at Davos, the South African central banker was not having any of that talk that crypto should be, or Bitcoin rather, should be a reserve. I tend to want to believe that the pump between Trump winning to 100K per coin and this crypto sort of, I would say, regulation that is coming up, Ross pardoned, unconditionally pardoned, with, I think he has almost around 600 million worth of Bitcoin. And the Trump meme coin, it is not just a vote of confidence, but a step higher in wider acceptance, or I would say participation of whatever coin you decide to use in the normal ecosystem.
Well, the way I view it is that almost all like international media is reporting on TrumpCoin, Melania, Baron.
Yes.
Back in the day, these media stations would not even mention crypto on their addresses, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't see crypto on the news.
Yes.
The first time we saw crypto on the news was after the FBI cracked down on Silk Road.
Yes.
While,
and even Binance, CEO.
Well, there was a lot of illegal activities happening on Silk Road.
Yes.
That publicity of media reporting on Silk Road made Bitcoin very popular around the world. And that was a major stepping stone for Bitcoin. So also in the crypto industry, just Trump launching the TrumpCoin basically means that he provided free marketing for the crypto industry. So there is a lot of people who had doubts, they thought this thing is a scam. Now they're seeing the US president launching his own coin. They're like, hell yeah, this thing is actually real.
In summary, do you think, even though it was a pump and dump, is it a bad thing? Or do you look at it as an opportunity for good actors, good faith actors, to continue building on the ecosystem? And for bad faith actors, maybe finally the crypto ecosystem can be able to determine or build a system to, I would say, counter them or minimize their impact in the space. Do you think that is a good or a bad thing?
The way I think about it, all these will be lessons. So if you like bought a Trump coin at $70 and then it went down to $30, you start questioning yourself, wait a minute. There are people who didn't lose money here.
This is like that saying.
There are people who have been in this industry for the last 10, 15 years.
Yes.
And I can't see them complaining that they are losing money. What are they doing different? So everything ends up at Bitcoin. So there is a lot of people who get into the crypto industry through like various exposures. Maybe you woke up to a tweet by Trump saying he is launching TrumpCoin. We saw Kenyan bloggers buying TrumpCoin. And I was like, wait, you guys don't know how this works. You better be patient, learn about the asset you're investing in before you even go for it. So if you just saw something randomly on Twitter and decided, I'm buying this, probably making a mistake. So the thing is, there has to be some form of fundamentals that are basically backing the asset you're buying. So you'll find that people who had no idea about crypto, in the next 3, 6 months, 1 year, they start learning what is proof of stake, what is proof of work, what is tokenomics, is there supposed to be a limited supply to a cryptocurrency, what is decentralization, what are the risks of investing in a cryptocurrency that is centralized, what is an exchange, can I use a centralized exchange, what is a wallet. So people will start learning all these things. And I tend to view this as a stepping stone to wider cryptocurrency adoption around the world.
I think that makes sense. They normally say, I think from that price, I was like, you know, when the shoe shiner starts to talk about, I need to buy these stocks.
Well,
somebody who you would not say that ordinarily is exposed to that side. You might want to think a bit about your position holding.
Well, there's this quote that says, one of the red flags in a bull market when it's about to end is when you get unsophisticated, unsolicited advice.
Very nice, very nice.
More like your uncle telling you to buy TrumpCoin.
Yeah. And he has never done, he knows what to do, but he has never consulted you.
Yeah.
Now, to the final say agenda of the day, which I believe should be more consequential.
Yeah.
And I think they continue to really cause volatility, uncertainty, anxiety, and all manner of emotions to traders. The executive orders that have been issued by Trump.
Yeah.
We cannot cover all of them, of course. Some are not really impactful to a trader because they are more or less domestic issues. What are your maybe 3 favorites from all of them?
Well,
That I would say,
it's quite tough to narrow down.
yeah, I know.
Number one, I would say what? Exit from the World Health Organization
Okay,
and the Paris Climate Change Agreement.
okay,
Those two are massive because they're not just affecting the markets,
okay,
they're also affecting us individually in Kenya, to be specific.
okay,
If you remember, the last time our president visited the US, he signed out of deals that were linked to green energy funding,
okay,
linked to the Paris Climate Change Agreement,
okay,
and vaccines. All that funding was coming from the US majorly.
okay,
Because if you look at the World Health Organization, the biggest contributor to the WHO is the US.
okay,
So if you look at the Paris Climate Change Agreement, for the initiatives, of course they have funding,
okay,
and a majority is coming from the US.
okay,
So when Donald Trump cuts that financing, it might also affect Kenyans too.
okay.
So that's
In both good and bad ways, either way, right?
well. If you look at our energy, I think we are the most green country in Africa.
Okay.
And perhaps we are number one in the whole world.
Okay.
A majority of our energy is green,
Yeah.
from geothermal
And
and renewable. That is.
Yes.
So we were getting out of these deals, especially with carbon credit and stuff. But now, if he's cutting it and he's promoting oil production, and the oil markets are already responding. The last 5 days, we have seen oil dropping every day.
My favorite executive order.
Yep.
Energy Emergency Act. I didn't want to give you a chance. That is my favorite. No, I read all of them and I was like, going back to the Stargate infrastructure, allowing shelling, Alaska to, you want your license, get it. Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
I was like, now this is what I want.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this price of oil to go to 55.
Yeah.
I might have a chance.
Well, it's happening. It's happening. One of the biggest challenges that American citizens are going through right now is that they have been experiencing high inflation for the last 4 years, and now this is the 5th year.
Yeah.
So high inflation in that, if you look at the official data today, it's saying 2.9%.
Yeah.
That is the prices of a basket of consumer products today compared to the same date last year.
Okay.
But inflation compounds over time.
Yeah.
So if they were at 9%, 4 years ago, they went down to 5%, 4%. If you look at those prices cumulatively, literally the average consumer is now spending I would say 25 to 30% more compared to how much they were spending in 2021.
Okay.
So that basically means that there has been so much pressure on consumer budgets, and this has led to a number of things. Small businesses are closing down.
Okay.
So the number of companies that are filing for bankruptcies, they are at a multi-year high. If you look at private credit cards, the number of delinquencies that have really shot up.
Yeah.
Personal credit has shot over $1 trillion for American citizens for the first time.
Yeah.
So this basically means that there has been so much pressure, and out of that economic pressure, they overall decided to vote that government out.
Yeah.
So it may not have been anything to do with Kamala Harris or Biden. It's about their personal economy.
Okay.
And it affects people everywhere. If your personal economy is not really good as of this moment, and there's a national election, you'll probably be voting that government out.
I mean, they usually say voters are always irrational.
Yeah.
all the time. They become rational after voting.
It's the same thing. When Trump was kicked out, there was COVID, panic, lockdowns. And when people were voting, it was quite emotional. Like your Mfuko is not good. You're like, no, this government must go.
Now, like I was mentioning, those executive orders, especially even on nuclear energy, I think we spoke with our last guest, Dom, about, data centers getting, and even Microsoft getting to, nuclear powered energy, and they are getting these very small reactors with great scientists who are making it very manageable within small system.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is good, because not only will the cost of energy go down, but it will allow the world to deploy capital to more productive areas of the economy.
Well,
now, if I look at,
would you trust Kenya Power with a nuclear power plant?
Yeah, actually, I will.
I got jokes.
Look, there's a nuclear council in Kenya, a nuclear board in Kenya. But
I think it was abolished the other day.
Wow, that's another story for another day. You remember just before election, I think Goldman Sachs did a economic review between Kamala and Trump.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm going to use and take him at his word value, whereby he promises to increase production of oil, OPEC have already shot themselves in the foot by cutting production. They are leaving an open market. He's planning to impose the tariffs, which I believe is one of the core factors whereby gold will continue to accelerate, especially with the introduction of 10% tariffs to China and the rest, while you are also making sure that the world buys oil from you at whatever price you decide. And given that WTI is quite low on sulfur and therefore production-wise cheaper, it means that not only will the small companies, the small caps within the Russell 2000 benefit from that, but generally what he was worried about, and what I think we were always thinking, will he now tell Powell to do something? He was worried about high interest rate. Inflation going down gives the Fed a breathing room to comfortably reduce cost of credit, and therefore overall, I think this year we might have CPI being stable at sub 3. I would say comfortably sub 3 or even 2 at some point. But now, with the reduction in government spending and whatnot, NFP I know will not be a good number. So that will be a key employment, will be a key sector. But generally, I want to believe within 1 or 2 years, if these policies are implemented as is, should be good for me as an investor, because stocks will appreciate. But I would say Americans as well, because of their pocket, they'll have some more cash in them. So maybe how Goldman Sachs look at it then, they might have been wrong, if at all these are implemented on face value.
Well, the way I see it, not just for the US, but the global economy.
True.
Inflation has a very positive correlation with the price of energy. So if you are energy deficient, price of energy goes up, then you can't avoid inflation. So now that Trump is opening up like offshore drilling, he's promised to refill the SPR. And he already started from day one. Then that basically means that oil must come down. And if oil prices go down, then that basically means that the prices of goods and services will also come down.
Now, I have one executive order which now is my concern. The one whereby he withdrew United States from the global tax treaty. And at least this affects especially the multinationals, like Microsoft, which are located in Kenya. They make some revenue in Kenya, and you're able to compare it, because I think from one of the clauses there, if you are to charge an American company any taxes, then we must charge your company which is selling to us some degree of tariffs. That was really concerning, because that means that even it will have, I would say, it may have an impact on us as consumers of American companies. Maybe the price of your Microsoft Office system might go up. If you're using Spotify, not Spotify, maybe Apple Music, instead of paying the 329 shillings, you might be paying an extra to cover for the tariffs. What do you make of that?
Well, the way I think about the the tax agreement, there was this scenario where the US was losing, and it was a response by Democrats. So let's say the US produces stuff, and they tax their corporates 30%. Okay. So at corporate, he realizes that the cost of production in the US is high. The minimum wage is high, so they have to pay their employees high, and then still pay high taxes. So what did these companies do? They started moving out of the US. So if you look at the Apple, their major production went to China. If you look at Tesla, their major production went to China. Different companies in the US literally moved their production outside the US, and they would only import the products back. So where would they move? They would move first because of labor, and second, a very important cost was taxation.
Okay.
So if you find a jurisdiction where you pay less tax, you pay less labor, you're able to manufacture there and then sell your products.
Okay.
So that did not work well for America per se,
Okay.
but it worked for the big corporations in the US.
Okay.
So now Trump comes back and decides that we are making America great again. And by making America great again, it means he needs people getting paid well, companies operating within the US, people buying directly from the US, not American companies manufacturing stuff in India and then selling to the rest of the world.
Okay.
So with the removal of this policy, it basically means that he's looking to bring production back home.
Okay.
If you look at the major projects he's embarking on, Stargate, making sure that AI infrastructure is there. You look at the microchip industry. Already the world's biggest company, TSMC, is building an entire plant to manufacture chips within the US borders, doing the energy thing. Like he's pumping energy to make sure that there's too much energy, cheap energy within the US.
Okay.
So when he does all those things combined, companies will be forced to come back to the US to produce.
I mean, incentivized.
Yes.
I think that's the right word.
Yes.
Incentivized.
Also, as part of his campaign promises,
Yeah.
he said he will be cutting down corporate taxes.
True. Yeah. I bet.
So by cutting corporate taxes, you complete the whole package. There's no reason not to manufacture and build products within the US economy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think basically, technically it's countering what China did last year, whereby they invested a lot of billions into their companies and therefore created a, I would say artificial demand for Chinese stocks and everything.
Yeah.
And we had almost 30-20% appreciation within a day.
Yeah.
Interesting couple of days. And of course, I think that marks up the end of today's session. Maybe anything to add on to that?
Well, I would say that given what we have discussed today, then there's a really rosy picture for US investments.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this, make sure you check out some of the major policies that Trump will be implementing in the next 100 days, because campaign promises are not just the first day signatures. There's also promises that I'm going to do this within the first 100 days in office. So once we start seeing those actions being taken, then we'll know exactly where to put our money.
Basically, you're saying be bullish.
Yes,
you are bullish on
very
the United
bullish
States.
on Trump. If you've enjoyed this episode this far, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you have any comments, requests, make sure to drop them in the comment section.
Let's keep the conversation going. Feel free to tag myself, OgolaJ4 on X, Rufas KE on X, Bullish Banter on X, and FX Pesa Official on X as well. You might find us on IG, Bullish Banter or FX Pesa. Feel free to drop a DM, message, question. We'd be glad to respond to it in the coming episodes. Will people ever get over Twitter?
Well,
name Twitter.
We are the media now. we decide.
Yeah. I've been your host, Jesse. Have yourself a wonderful trading day.